In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to EQ any vocal using just 3 simple tricks. And for this tutorial, I'll just be using a stock plugin that comes with Logic Pro, so feel free to follow along with any DAW. First, let's talk about what is EQ. EQ is short for equalizer, and it's a tool that we use to shape the sound of our recordings by either boosting or cutting certain frequencies. This is what a basic EQ plugin looks like, and going from left to right, the frequencies range from 20 Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz. And the whole concept is if you grab any of these EQ points and you bring it up, that would be a boost. If you bring it down, that would be a cut. Now that you know the basics, the first trick I'm about to show you is to apply a high pass filter. And you can access it by going to the top left. And as you move it around, you can see that the low end frequencies are being cut while the high frequencies are passing through, hence high pass filter. When it comes to recording vocals, I like to use a high pass filter around 100 Hz. This is gonna help remove some of that really low rumble that we typically don't need on a vocal. Also, it will help minimize background noise coming from your room, typically found with laptop fans or air conditioning systems. And just by applying this first trick, you're gonna be able to clean up a lot of your recordings. Not to mention, you're going to free up a lot of the space in your mix for low-end instruments to shine, like the kick drum or the bass guitar. The second trick that I'm about to show you is known as subtractive EQ. The whole goal with it is just to remove or take away the harsh sounding frequencies in your recording. And the best way that I found to do this is to grab any of the EQ points, boost it up really high, make the Q narrow, and then just sweep around as your track is playing in the background. Keep in mind, nothing's gonna sound great boosted this much, but certain frequencies are definitely going to stick out on a negative way, and those we're going to cut about 3 dB. So now let's have a listen to this vocal to see if we can find those frequencies.
I like to watch you get undressed, the things you say once you're in my bed. And by the time we get to rest, I've given you all my love. I like the way that you move around between the sheets, calling me out. And by the time the sun goes down, I've given you all my love, yeah. Time the sun goes down, I've given you all my love, yeah.
And this really helps smooth out the vocal and just make it a little bit easier to listen to. But warning, be careful how much you cut because it's very easy to overdo it. And if you just go chopping away at everything that you don't like, you're gonna end up just sucking the life out of the recording and ultimately destroying the vocal. So please use your ears and your best judgment and listen to the track in context with the whole song. But with that being said, here are some common frequencies that you should pay attention to. 200 Hz is where you're going to get the muddiness in the vocal. 300 to 400 Hz is where it can sound kinda honky. 1000 to 3000 Hz can be the nasally tone in the human voice. And 4000 Hz is what most people would describe as harsh sounding. Again, I am not saying that you should cut these frequencies every single time. These are just frequencies you should pay attention to and then cut if necessary based on your vocal, because every vocal is going to be different. And by the way, if you're getting value out of today's content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. The next trick I'm about to show you is known as additive EQ. As you could probably guess from the name, it is the opposite to subtractive EQ, and this time we're actually going to boost certain frequencies to enhance the sound of our recording. And there are two main ways that I found to do this. The first one is using the stock plugin, and when it comes to recording my own vocals, I like to add a little bit of sparkle to the top end, and in order to do that, I just use a high shelf around 10,000 Hz. I'm barely boosting it by like 3 dB because I don't want it to be harsh. So now let's have a listen to the vocal track.
I like to watch you get undressed, the things you say once you're in my bed. And by the time we get to rest, I've given you all my love. I like the way that you move around between the sheets, calling me out. And by the time the sun goes down, I've given you all my love, yeah.
The second method to do this, which is my personal favorite, is to use a different plugin that comes with Logic Pro, known as the Vintage Tube EQ. This is based off of a Pultec EQ, which sounds great in my opinion, and just by adding it to your track, you're already gonna notice a little bit of that tube coloration to the sound, which I find very pleasing. And in order to do the same thing, go to the high frequency section, select 10,000 Hz, then boost it by about 3 dB and bring up the bandwidth, and that should give you very similar results. And something else you can do in case you find your vocals to sound thin and you want to add a little bit of that chest sound to your voice is to select the low end frequencies around 100 Hz and then boost by 3 dB or so.
I like to watch you get undressed, the things you say once you're in my bed. And by the time we get to rest, I've given you all my love.
So now let's have a listen to the vocal track without the effects and then with the EQ applied, and make sure to stick around all the way to the end of the video because I have one bonus tip to share with you.
I like to watch you get undressed, the things you say once you're in my bed. And by the time we get to rest, I've given you all my love. I like the way that you move around between the sheets, calling me out. And by the time the sun goes down, I've given you all my love, yeah.
So here's a bonus tip. When it comes to EQing a vocal, I like to use the high pass filter and subtractive EQ before applying compression and then additive EQ after the compression is applied. I found that this gives me the best results, but I would love to hear your thoughts, so let me know down below what you think in the comments. And if you want to learn how to use a compressor to make your vocals sound bigger and cut through the mix, then make sure to click on this video.